Hello and welcome to the USA Breaking News on 27th July 2026. Washington and Tehran. Iran has announced that it is prepared to suspend its military operation if the United States also ceases its attacks, signaling potential opening for diplomacy after nearly 2 weeks of escalating conflict. A senior Iranian official speaking to Reuters on conditions of anonymity said Tehran's position remained based on the principle of attacks for attacks, adding that Iran would stop its military actions if Washington permanently halted its strikes. Iran's position remained an attack for an attack. If the attack stops, Iran will also end its military operations. This message has already been conveyed to the United States. The officials said the statement comes after the Pentagon suspended its military operation against Iran on Friday, following 13 days of USA airstrikes. No new American attacks were reportedly on Saturday or Sunday, while Iran also refrained from launching strikes against USA military bases and allied targets in the region during the same period. USA ambassadors to the United States nations Mike Waltz said President Donald Trump ordered the pause in the military operation to give diplomacy a chance. He's giving negotiation an opportunity. He's allowing time for diplomacy to produce results. Waltz said the senior USA military officials have previously stated that the 2 weeks bombing campaign significantly weakened Iran's military capabilities. However, an anonymous USA official warned that while military operations could resume if necessary, doing so would place additional strain on American weapon stockpiles, particularly air defense systems deployed across the Middle East, which have reportedly been heavily utilized during the conflict. Despite the temporary halts in the USA attacks, Iranian officials remain skeptical that Washington's move signal lasting end to hostilities. A senior Iranian officials told Reuters there is more skepticism than optimism in Tehran regarding today's suspension of strikes, arguing that many view it as a temporary tactical decision rather than genuine shift in USA policy. Iran has painful experience with that, it seems, as American deceptions. The officials say the latest of conflict began after the United States launched airstrikes on Tehran, saying it was responding to Iranian attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran has maintained it seeks to protect its interest in the strategic waterway, truth which nearly one-fifth of the world's oil supply passed before the outbreaks of the conflict. Iran responded by targeting USA military facilities across the Middle East, raising fear of broader regional war. A political analyst say meaningful peace talks will likely require international mediation to bring both sides to the negotiating table, although countries including Pakistan and Qatar have previously attempted to facilitate dialogue between Washington and Tehran. No new direct negotiations have been publicly announced, and area mediation efforts failed to produce breakthrough. Washington, as an artificial intelligence, become increasingly integrated into everyday life. Researchers are raising concern that excessive dependence on AI tools could weaken people's memory, problem-solving abilities, and critical thinking skills. AI-powered platforms are now widely used for writing emails, translating languages, coding, drafting documents, brainstorming ideas, and completing a wide range of daily tasks. While these tools significantly improve productivity, scientists say relying on them too heavily may come at cognitive cost, a joint study conducted by researchers in the United States involving 1,222 participants found that using AI to solve mathematical problems or interpret written materials improved the short-term performance. However, when AI assistance was removed, many participants struggled to continue solving problems independently and become discouraged after failing to find answers. The researchers says the finding are concerning because the persistence is the key factor in learning and developing advanced thinking skills. Grace Liu, a researcher at Carnegie Mellon University, said receiving instant answers may deprive people of the opportunity to learn truth exploration and independent problem solving. Experts note that AI differs significantly from traditional tools such as calculators, while calculators assist with computations, users still perform the reasoning themselves. AI, however, is capable of handling many tasks that require human thinking, increasing the likelihood that users may outsource intellectual works they would otherwise do on their own. A separate 2025 study by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT) also found evidence suggesting that students who rely on AI to write essays may demonstrate weaker analytical and critical thinking skills. Despite the concern, researchers stress that there is no definitive evidence that artificial intelligence will make people less intelligent. They say no longer term studies are still needed to do better understand AI impacts on a human cognition. In a response to these concerns, leading AI companies have begun introducing features designed to encourage learning rather than simply providing answers. Platforms such as ChatGPT and Gemini now offer study modes that guide users with hints and questions instead of immediately reviewing solutions. Microsoft has also said its Copilot assistant remind users to verify AI-generated information instead of relying on it completely. Education experts are urging schools, employers, and AI users to adopt responsible AI practices by attempting to solve problems independently, first verifying AI-generated responses and comparing them with other reliable sources. The findings and the growing global debate over how artificial intelligence should be used as it becomes an increasingly important part of education, workplace, and everyday decision making. Kinshasa in Democratic Republic of Congo, the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC continued to worsen with more than 3,200 confirmed infections and 1,405 deaths recorded as of July 25, 2026, according to the figures from the country's Ministry of Health. Health authorities reported that 773 patients are currently isolated or receiving medical care, while 571 people have recovered from the diseases. The fatality rate is standard at 43.9%, while contact tracing efforts have reached 77.8% of people who were exposed to infected individuals. The Ministry of Health said intensified Ebola response measures are ongoing across the 5 provinces affected by outbreaks: Ituri, Hautule, North Kivu, South Kivu, and Tishopo. Health workers are continue efforts to identify people showing symptoms, test suspected cases, treat patients, and monitor individuals who have come into contact with confirmed cases. Ituri provinces remain the hardest hit area, accounting for the majority of infections. Authorities have increased the number of surveillance teams, expanded regulatory capabilities, and strengthened treatment facilities in the province. A public awareness campaign are also underway in Ituri to educate communities about the dangers of Ebola, while health officials are monitoring a movement in affected areas and providing essential equipment for frontline workers. The World Health Organization (WHO) reported that by July 15, 2026, Ituri accounted for nearly 19% for all Ebola cases in the countries, with the major hotspots including Bunia, Monkboru, Nizi, and Nyahude. The current outbreak is caused by Bundibujo strain of the Ebola virus. It was officially declared in Ituri on May 15, 2026, becoming the 17th Ebola outbreaks recorded in DRC since the virus was first identified in 1976. On May 17, WHO declared the outbreak public health event of international concern, calling for global cooperation to help contain the spread of the diseases. WHO had earlier reported that by July 15, the DRC had recorded 2,124 Ebola cases and 828 deaths. Within the following 10 days, infection increased by 1,076 cases, while death rose by 577. Containing the outbreaks remain challenging due to the several obstacles, including insecurity, population displacement, and community members avoiding health facilities and choosing to seek treatments at home. Currently, there is no official approved vaccine or specific treatment for Budmujo Ebola strain. However, clinical trials have begun in Democratic Republic of Congo involving treatment such as MBP-134 and Remdesivir, which researchers hope could reduce deaths and several illness among patients. Health authorities continue to urge communities to report symptoms earlier and cooperate with the medical teams fight to stop the spread of the deadly viruses. Kigali, Rwanda and Kenya have begun discussion aimed at strengthening cooperation in the tourism sector with the goal of increasing visitors members between the two countries and promoting a shared tourism vision across East Africa. The talks are being led by the Kenya Tourism Board (KTB) in partnership with Rwanda and private sectors players in the tourism industry. The discussion began during tourism networking forum held in Kigali last week, bringing together more than 15 participants, including travelers and tourism businesses, hotel investors, and government representatives and tourism stakeholders from both Rwanda and Kenya. Esther Magiti, counselor at the Kenya's embassy in Kigali, said the meeting reflects the strong relationship between two countries while creating platform to expand cooperation. This forum highlights the strong relation that has existed between Kenya and Rwanda for years. It is also an important platform for building partnership, sharing knowledge, and further advancing cooperation in tourism, Magiti said. She added that both countries have significant opportunities that can be unlocked through deeper collaboration. Magiti noted that Rwanda and Kenya possess diverse tourism attraction, including wildlife tourism, Kenya's coastal tourism, culture, heritage, and historical experience. The two countries also share opportunities in MICE tourism related to a meeting, intensives, conference, and exhibition, as well as investment opportunities capable of attracting investors from across Africa and beyond. She said Kenya is a continuing efforts to strengthen tourism partnership by expanding air connectivity, improving movement between East African community member states, and supporting initiative aimed at increasing tourist arrivals. Alex Tunoi, KTB's regional tourist promotion manager, said the meeting is part of Kenya's strategy to increase the number of tourists visiting from Rwanda and other from East African countries. This forum is part of the special partnership between KTB and Rwandair aimed at connecting more than 15 organizations and professionals in the travel and tourism sector. This will be achieved through investors' engagement, tourism promotion, and knowledge sharing. Tunoi said the tourism discussion came shortly after Rwanda and Kenya signed the agreement on June 29, 2026, aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation. The agreements include the major improve the importation and petroleum products, allowing Rwanda to utilize Kenya's infrastructure to access fuel supplies from international markets. The latest tourism initiative highlights growing efforts by East African communities to promote a regional travel, increase investment, and position the region as a competitive global tourism destination. That's all for now. Thank you for watching.